I discovered a face that shouldn't have existed. The same man appeared across multiple investigations spanning more than 2 decades. Different victims, different counties, different crimes. Yet somehow, the same stranger was always there. Then I found something even stranger. A photograph dated 1994. 6 men standing outside a training facility. And on the back, 2 words: Observation Group. By the next morning, the photograph was gone. The archive box had vanished, and every official record claimed it had never existed. That's when I realized something. I wasn't investigating a cold case anymore. Something was investigating me. Most detectives spend their careers looking for suspects. I had a different problem. One morning, I opened a missing person file and found my own name inside it. Not as the investigator, not as a witness, as evidence. At first, I thought it was a mistake, a database error, a paperwork issue, something simple. Then I saw the call logs, the access records, the timestamps, and every one of them pointed to me. The worst part wasn't that someone was trying to frame me. The worst part was how convincing they were. My name is Detective William Ward, and this is the case that taught me how easily the truth can be rewritten. 3 weeks had passed since I discovered the photograph. The unknown man. The same face appearing across multiple investigations. The same shadow standing near crimes without ever becoming part of them. Officially, I had stopped looking. Unofficially, I hadn't stopped thinking about him for a single day. Most of my work happened after hours. Archived reports, old photographs, forgotten witness statements. The kind of material nobody revisits unless they're obsessed. And maybe I was becoming obsessed, because every path led back to the same dead end. Observation Group. A name that existed in one photograph and nowhere else. No records, no personnel lists, no budget requests, nothing. Until I found someone who might know more. His name was Harold Mercer, 71 years old, retired county archivist. For nearly 3 decades, he managed records from multiple departments across the region. If information existed, Mercer usually knew where it was buried. Our first conversation lasted less than 15 minutes. I expected answers. Instead, I got hesitation. The moment I mentioned Observation Group, something changed. His posture stiffened. His eyes moved toward the office door. Not fear, not exactly. More like caution. The kind people develop after spending years around information they shouldn't have seen. Before ending the conversation, he said something strange. Some files disappear because they're lost. He paused. Others disappear because somebody wants them gone. Then he asked me not to call his office again. 2 days later, he agreed to meet privately. A diner outside county limits. Neutral ground. The kind of place where nobody paid attention to strangers talking over coffee. I arrived early. Mercer never showed up. At first, I assumed he changed his mind. Then I called. No answer. I waited another 30 minutes. Still nothing. By evening, I drove to his house. His car was parked outside. Lights were on. Front door locked. No response. Inside, everything looked normal. Dinner on the table. Reading glasses beside an open book. Television still running. No signs of struggle. No signs of preparation. No note. No explanation. Just a life interrupted halfway through an ordinary evening. Harold Mercer was gone. Missing adults aren't always emergencies. People leave. People disappear voluntarily. People start over. But this felt different because Mercer had arranged a meeting and because of what happened next. The next morning, Internal Affairs contacted me. Not as a detective, as a subject. At first, I thought they wanted information. Then they showed me the file. The last outgoing call on Mercer's phone. Mine. The last scheduled meeting in his calendar. Mine. Security footage from a traffic camera near his neighborhood. My department vehicle. The timeline looked terrible. I couldn't deny any of it, because most of it was true. I had called him. I had arranged the meeting. I had driven through the area. Every fact was real. The problem was what someone had done with those facts. For the first time in my career, I sat on the opposite side of an interview table, answering questions instead of asking them. The investigators remained professional. They weren't accusing me directly, not yet. But suspicion has a way of changing a room. People stop looking at you the same way. Conversations become shorter. Doors close when you approach. Even friends become careful. And careful people are dangerous when you're trying to prove your innocence, because they stop taking risks for you. I kept telling myself it was temporary, that Mercer would turn up, that everything would make sense. Then another piece of evidence appeared. Someone had used my access credentials to enter a regional records archive at 11:47 p.m. The same night, Mercer vanished. According to the logs, I accessed several restricted files connected to historical investigations, including records associated with Observation Group. There was only one problem. I was home. I had witnesses. I had receipts. I had proof. But proving where I was didn't explain why the archive system thought I had been there. Someone wasn't just framing me. They were constructing a version of reality, one document at a time. Because some stories begin with missing people. Others begin with missing answers. And this one was becoming both. The deeper I looked, the worse it became. I requested access to older disciplinary files, cases involving evidence manipulation, witness tampering, administrative corruption. At first, the connection wasn't obvious. Then I noticed something. Every few years, there was an investigation that collapsed for reasons nobody could fully explain. A witness disappeared. A key record went missing. An important file became corrupted. Never enough to prove a conspiracy. Just enough to destroy certainty. Small fractures. Tiny inconsistencies. Scattered across decades. The kind most people ignore. The kind detectives remember. Because patterns don't have to be loud. Sometimes they're almost invisible. One case caught my attention. 14 years earlier. A federal contractor disappeared after requesting archived intelligence records. The investigation lasted 6 months. No suspect, no body, no conclusion. But buried deep in the report was a familiar sentence. Relevant documentation could not be located. I had read those words before. Different file, different year, same outcome. Missing records. Missing people. Missing explanations. That night, I returned to the archive where I had found the Observation Group photograph. Officially, the box never existed. Unofficially, I knew better. The building was nearly empty. Most staff had gone home. Only a night supervisor remained, an older woman named Elaine Foster. She had worked there longer than anyone else. I showed her a copy of the photograph, the one with the 6 men standing outside the training facility. The words Observation Group written on the back. For a moment, I thought she would deny recognizing it. Instead, she looked genuinely uncomfortable. Then she asked a question I wasn't expecting. "Where did you get this?" I told her. She stared at the image for several seconds, then quietly said, "You should stop looking." I've heard that sentence before. Every detective has, usually from people trying to protect themselves. But Foster didn't sound afraid for herself. She sounded afraid for me. I asked why. She hesitated. Then she said something I still remember word for word. People think information is dangerous because of what it reveals. She looked at the photograph again. Sometimes information is dangerous because it reveals that someone is watching. Before I could ask another question, she ended the conversation and left. I stood alone in the archive for almost an hour, looking through shelves, boxes, storage records, anything I could find. Most of it was useless. Then I discovered a maintenance file hidden inside an unrelated inventory folder. Nothing classified, nothing dramatic, just paperwork. Until I reached the final page. Attached to the back was a photograph. Old, faded. Taken sometime around 15 years earlier, a group of young recruits standing outside a training academy. At first, I didn't understand why it had been hidden. Then I saw myself. Younger. Before homicide. Before major cases. Before any of this. Standing near the edge of the frame. Smiling at something outside the photograph. And written on the back, in black ink, were two words. Future candidate. I stared at the image for several minutes, trying to understand what I was looking at, trying to remember who took it, trying to remember who had access to it. Nothing made sense, because 15 years ago, I was nobody. A trainee, a rookie, certainly not someone connected to missing records and disappearing archivists. Yet somebody had preserved that photograph. Somebody had labeled it. Somebody had hidden it. And somehow, that somebody knew I would matter later. By the time I left the archive, it was past midnight. The parking lot was empty. Rain covered the windshield. The city felt quieter than usual. Not peaceful, watchful. The kind of silence that makes you check your mirrors twice. For weeks, I believed someone was trying to frame me. But driving home that night, another possibility entered my mind. What if this wasn't a frame job? What if it was a message? Because framing someone hides the truth. Messages reveal just enough of it. And whoever was behind this wanted me to find that photograph. They wanted me to know I had been seen. Long before I knew who they were, Harold Mercer was never found. Officially, his case remains open. His file still exists, though several documents connected to it disappeared months later. The investigation eventually moved on. Most investigations do, but I couldn't, because Mercer wasn't the only missing person anymore. Now there were missing records, missing names, missing years, and somewhere inside all of it, a man who seemed to exist only in the spaces where information should have been. This is Last Trace. And sometimes, the moment you realize you're being watched is the moment the real investigation begins.